So what you're saying is that basically a newbie could effectively set up one of these businesses in about 7 days
Mhm.
and start making partnerships where they could actually get like a retainer and even grow that into, say, a six-figure business in a couple of years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the only, perhaps the one and only Copy That Show on twitch.tv/the Copy That Show and also on youtube.com/copy that if you are watching this at some point in the future. If you are watching this right now, I am speaking to you from the past. Isn't that spooky? I don't think so. You might be noticing that there's something different. The balance of power has been tipped from four dudes talking about copywriting and marketing, and now it's four dudes doing the same thing, except also there's somebody who isn't a dude. This is Lindsey. She is the secret silent fifth partner of Copy That, and she and I have been business partners for Christ on crutches. Has it been like 5-6 years now?
6 years.
Wow. If you have ever seen me talk about like launching and spinning up a number of different businesses and like being a serial entrepreneur, every single endeavor I've ever worked on, I have worked on with Lindsey. It's a delight to have her on the show to talk about a very special topic, which is actually going and getting clients from businesses and places that you wouldn't normally expect. We normally tell people to go on Upwork or Fiverr or to do cold outreach or something like that. So one thing that I wanted to talk about today, which involves effectively being your own little mini agency and selling your services to niche markets that you have probably never heard of. And by niche, I don't mean like financial, survival, prepper, health, etc. We're talking about like actual niche industries. One example that we'll be talking about in a little bit is eyebrow microblading and permanent makeup. It is a subsection of a subsection of a subsection of an industry. Finding those clients and talking to those clients and doing copywriting and marketing for them can be incredibly lucrative.
I want to chime in if I can. What do we mean by a niche market or a niche business? Some of the ones that we kind of have run across, something like seawall repair. I'm down in Florida. There's a lot of canal front homes, and there are companies that fix deteriorating seawalls. Christmas light installation, exterior lighting companies, parking pavement striping, boat marine repair. Those are the types of kind of niche markets that we're talking about.
What really surprised me when I started meeting other newbies was that no one else had done this. It's quite easy, and what you guys do is a lot more involved than what I was doing, but because there's just so many businesses who are local, who are niche. I have already been a big proponent of pushing this kind of way of thinking about getting copywriting clients. I know what you guys are going to go in today is a lot more like you can actually make a whole revenue stream off of this and just have this as a business. As you're listening to Lindsey and Sean speak about their experience, also just think about how you can apply it, not just in this business sense, but also to your own copywriting client getting abilities, because no one else is thinking this way. Believe me, no one else is thinking this way.
I can't tell you how many DMs I get every single week from people that are just like, hi, how do I do copy for financial? Financial is very hard. It is not for everybody. It is perhaps one of the most competitive niches out there. Why not try writing something else? The moment you limit yourself is the moment you make sure that your career has a ceiling on it. You know, I'm a financial copywriter who also owns part of a tutoring business, who also at one point owned a list building business, who also like owns part of a transmission company. You can use your copywriting skills to branch off into very many different and disparate industries with not that much effort. It's not that hard, because once you learn the actual principles underlying copy, you can pretty much write your own ticket.
I mean, just look around. There are thousands of businesses run by people who have absolutely no clue how to market. What has been so surprising for us is just how easy it is to make money on one of these niches, as opposed to like Sean and I, you know, we come from the financial direct response world where it's just insanely difficult to learn how to become, you know, a top level financial copywriter. This type of copywriting. I don't even know if we can really call it that, because it's just beginner level copywriting. You could step right in and do this.
I think it's because like you need to combine like several disciplines, and you've got like several elements that you need to know about. And I
Yeah.
feel lots of people just don't look like into like the other disciplines next to them, right? Like they might only focus on copywriting, and they don't see that there's like, if you can connect all the way or all the building blocks together, you can actually make a lot of money, right? But you need to know like what those blocks are, right? Like if you don't know what to bring together, you're not going to be able to do it.
I'd never really thought of this sort of opportunity before. Yeah, Lindsey brought it to us via Sean. But when I read it, it completely made sense. And it connects to something that we're saying all the time, where if the only thing you know how to do is copywriting, you are going to be significantly limited in that the only thing you'll be able to do for your client is to write the landing page, but you won't necessarily know when you need a landing page or when you need an email or when you'd be better suited with an advertorial or to change up your funnel or any of those sorts of changes. And so it is so important for people to develop knowledge around where their writing exists in the general business sense or business structure, such that they can then make recommendations or create their own systems like the one we're going to talk about later that can highly optimize everything and just make everything way more lucrative.
Would you guys say that's like a big part of it, that this is like systemizable, that it's like something that almost becomes predictable at some point, like if you do it well?
I would say yes, simply because, there are a few necessary prerequisites on the way. Like, for example, some people are not even remotely comfortable reaching out to or getting in contact with or finding or talking to on the phone potential partners and clients. The person who's not comfortable with that has a different obstacle that they're going to need to overcome that is ultimately going to determine down the line their success in everything else. There are a lot of like necessary steps one needs to have, like especially early in their copywriting career, that is going to make this more or less predictable. Somebody, for example, who fumbles every single conversation they have with a potential partner, probably not going to be very successful at this. But at the same time, somebody who can hold a conversation, that person is going to be solidly in a position where, okay, they can at least get started with the basics. And so why don't we use that as a segue into, talking about like the basics of what we're talking about?
What we're basically talking about is leveraging your copywriter skills, beginner level is what we're talking about, and launching in your local community, your own kind of mini marketing agency. And what you're going to be doing, to Luke's question, it is very templated and it's very formulaic. And I know because we've launched, Sean, a number of businesses this way, and each and every time it's effectively the same thing. It involves reaching out in your local community and talking with business owners, or alternatively, you can do what we do, which is partner up with a friend. In our case, we can say we launched effectively 3 businesses. We got them up and running in a week. Each one took us a week to get up and running. It was that simple. Each business was profitable within the first month. One business never saw a single month with a loss. And by months 8 to 9, it was pulling in 10 to 15 grand per month. Another business was on the path to 6 figures within the first 30 days. I think on that business, we generated over 1,000% ROI in the first 30 days. And then the third business, we were just kind of running the marketing arm, but it generated $150,000 in revenue within the first 10 months. And by year 2, that number had grown to 500,000. Again, all 3 businesses, we had these up and running in a week with kind of beginner level copywriter skills and profitable within the first month. I love these businesses because if you're a copywriter and you're looking to get started, it doesn't have to take you a year studying the craft of copywriting before you can put your first, piece out in the world and see how it does. If you're interested in making a career out of this and funding your copywriting education, you can do this very, very quickly.
So like the first question that comes to my mind is, what are some businesses that are better suited to reach out to, and what are some businesses that might not be?
Let's talk about it from, you're gonna go out there and cold call business owners, and you are gonna get them to put you on a retainer to market their business, generate leads for them, and push those leads over to, their front desk or whoever. You're going to have to justify somebody paying you a retainer however much that is, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a month, let's say, to start out with. If you think to justify that marketing cost to somebody who doesn't really understand marketing, maybe they've advertised in some local magazines and they don't really know if that works, but they put out their business cards, or just, they're not really, they need customers, but they don't know how to market themselves, and they don't know you. So it's a lot to kind of ask for that money up front. The sweet spot is really finding services that have a really high ticket, high price service, like the ones that I mentioned before, like a seawall repair. If you're hiring a company to repair your seawall, you're looking at like a $600 to $2,000 per linear foot job. And then, it's a multi-million-dollar home on a canal and they've got a big repair job, right? That's thousands of dollars. But one of those clients is extremely lucrative to a company. And so if you can bring in several of those clients in a month, for example, and each of those clients averages $5,000 or whatever, surely they can cut you a $2,000 retainer, or a percentage of the business, the profits that you bring in, as opposed to, clients that are paying, for example, $50 to have a service, something very low price. It's going to take a lot of volume to justify a business owner cutting you in or paying you a monthly retainer. Businesses that are niche, there's not a lot of competition out there.
So what you're saying is that basically a newbie could effectively set up one of these businesses in about 7 days and start making partnerships where they could actually get like a retainer and even grow that into, say, a 6-figure business in a couple of years. Absolutely.
Yeah. And not only that, but you do not actually have to start a seawall repair business. You are starting a seawall repair marketing business. So you aren't touching the risk. You aren't touching any of the liability. All you are doing is setting up a seawall repair marketing agency. First, you may launch in your city, and then you may launch 30 miles down the road south, 30 miles up the road north, and get a seawall repair, partner in every one of those cities, and effectively do the exact same thing as you're doing for, your local client, which is sending them leads.
Really quick, let's define some terms for everybody watching. So a lead is somebody that you have found online or over the phone that is very interested in the service that is being provided. One of the things that we're fundamentally talking about is one of the 3, pillars of business, which is especially small businesses, which are acquisition, monetization / fulfillment, and operations. And really what we're talking about is a little bit on mostly the acquisition side, but a little bit on the monetization side as well. Copywriting skills and marketing skills go a really long way in both of those departments. And so what we are talking about with these businesses is setting up an operational acquisition arm that solely exists to go find the people who want the thing that your partners are selling. Seawall repair is an example. Lead removal would be another good example of doing this. The reason why it works so well and why it scales so well for you, the potential agency owner, is because these kinds of businesses, and there are so many of them, but they're very niche, not a whole lot of people are going to be experts in seawall repair. Not only is there scarcity, but also there's a huge cost associated with these services. If you are just writing one email for somebody, if you are just writing a handful of PPC ads for somebody, you're not going to get a cut of net sales from that business. There's no way you're going to be able to negotiate that.
If I was a beginner and I was watching this, a big objection for me around this would be like, okay, this sounds cool, but why would these people get into partnership with me or hire me when I'm a beginner and I haven't done anything before? Coming from someone who kind of made it as a copywriter by starting off pitching to local businesses, I'm not going to sit here and say oh, this is a guaranteed way of becoming absolutely rich, because how many people are going to stick with it and get absolutely rich? Probably not many. But the point is, and I think the reason I love what you guys have done and are talking about, and the reason I'm so excited about us talking about it right now, is because I just hope this starts to open up people's eyes to realizing that even if you're a beginner, no one else is pitching these companies. There's not a big system of loads of copywriters flooding these local businesses with emails going like, oh, I want to write copy for you. I'm a copywriter, blah, blah. You can be one of the first, if not the first, people to approach them with an offer saying, hey, I have an idea of how to get you more clients, more revenue, et cetera, give me a chance and let me do this. For beginners watching this who are thinking, oh yeah, but I'm a beginner, what if I don't have any experience? One, these people aren't used to getting pitched. You're not going to be against loads of other people who are trying to get the services. I mean, seriously, just look at their marketing. It isn't good. And two, you haven't got to mention that you're a beginner and start a conversation by saying, oh, hi, I'm new to this. Sorry. Like, if you just build something and you come in with a strategy and you say, let's do this, guess what? That's going to instill confidence in the person who's receiving your pitch as well.
That's why choosing or finding that niche is so important, because if you can find a company that exists within a very small market where there are only a couple of competitors, or they may be the only business offering that service, the risk to them to bringing you on is very, very low. There are probably only 3 to 4 seawall repair companies in your town or in your region, I guess. It is very important to hone in on that specific niche to make sure that you're picking something where that will actually be a real opportunity for you.
In your town, there might be 2, 1 mirrored glass beveling, like custom beveling services. You're not going to find a whole lot of them in any given town. But because of the magic of the internet, you can find these businesses in basically every town. Once you have the assets that you build for one of these businesses, you can essentially duplicate the same model from town to town, especially once you work. And the cool thing about this is it also gives a very low stress way of getting into copywriting and marketing for newbies, because, hey, if you really mess up with one client, well, guess what? They probably aren't talking to their competitor, their lead removal competitor, about the marketers they're working with. And all of a sudden, like, you take what you learned the first time and then you do it better the next time. Ultimately, that's better than Upwork because there's no reviews. You're not getting rated. Oh my God, that's so cool.
I see a lot of people chiming in, like, why would somebody hire me as a beginner level? Walk in the door. I've never done this before. $2,000 retainer, please, right? You don't need to have a business partner in place in order for you to set up and create the assets to sell that business. You can walk in there and say, I've created this thing. I've created this lead generation infrastructure. Do you want the leads? Let's enter a 30-day trial. You give a percentage of business for everything I send your way. And it is absolutely no upfront cost to you. If I send you leads, you sell those leads, I get paid and you make money. So the idea is to make the offer low barrier, low obstacle, that it's just a no-brainer. Yes, I need leads. I'm seeing, the infrastructure. This is amazing. Bring your laptop. You just showed me it. It looks great. You're telling me my phone's going to start ringing and I just, I need to fulfill those contracts. Absolutely. After that first 30 days is done, you get, you've basically proven what you can do, then you can go back in and negotiate.
Also, like, the business you make is like your own digital real estate, right? Like, if
Yeah.
the leads come in, you can always say like, well, okay, if you guys don't want to renegotiate, I'm going to go
Exactly.
to your competitor, right? Yeah.
I want to go back to an earlier question that we got. How do I go about creating my own agency? What is the difference between like a freelance person and an agency? Really, the only difference is if you're an agency, there's typically a little bit more that's expected in terms of the service. And a lot of agencies will have like a very fixed package, like, we will handle your social media for you. We will do X number of campaigns. We will do these things. The number of people that need to be in an agency is 1. But if you're going to offer a robust number of packages, you might need to work with vendors. What is a vendor? A vendor is somebody a business reaches out to actually get the things that they're not making themselves. For example, Coca-Cola, to make their cans, they don't mine aluminum. They go to a vendor who procures aluminum, and then they use that aluminum to make cans. You, as an agency owner, or just a one-man agency, or a group of people who form an agency, say, for example, you have a client who specifically wants YouTube videos, but you don't have any experience with YouTube videos. As an agency, you can offer that service and then go and find a vendor, some other agency or some other marketer who can do that. And then you hire them and you produce those assets for your client. And that's effectively how an agency works. Copy that is kind of one of those.
Just looking at two things always seems to bring results for me. Their email list and utilizing it properly, and sending traffic to landing pages, specific landing pages, rather than just a homepage. Those two things in 80% of the business I've worked with have made it worthwhile enough for the business to hire me and keep retaining me, just because more traffic, more conversions are being seen. The reason I'm bringing that up now is because this to me is almost Lindsey, you were talking about it being repeatable and you're able to just kind of clone this no matter what industry you're in. I view what I've just said there in a similar way. It's like, I kind of know that if I do these two things, I'm probably going to see results. You may be very overwhelmed to begin with, but the best cure for overwhelm is just taking action. And taking action with a simple system, be it just, I'm going to go in, I'm going to focus on doing emails and making proper landing pages for them. As long as you're doing something, it's always better than doing nothing.
As a newbie, I'm not sure which category to start practicing with. Email copy, advertorials, sales pages. Should I start writing different types until I like a certain one? And the thing to understand is that whether you start your own agency, whether you are just a copywriter, whether you're working in-house, whether you're working elsewhere, it is going to be extremely rare that you are going to be working in a position where somebody is just thrilled, excited, jazzed about paying you just for emails. Usually what happens is an email copywriter tends to become over time an internal list manager or internal marketer, but it's very rare that somebody just is paid to write emails forever. One of the other cool things about finding clients in this manner, actually like thinking laterally, looking where people aren't, is the simple fact that, like, in order to do this, you're going to need to build assets and practice building assets that you might feel uncomfortable with. Google PPC ads, advertorial, perhaps even email. What is cool about this, and this is really cool, is that say you try this. Say you make a landing page for bed bug infestation removal specialists. And say you build a landing page for them, say you drive some traffic to it. Guess what? Everything that you just made is not only something that you could pitch to these businesses as, hey, do you want the leads coming via this funnel? Well, it's also now a spec piece. You can use it to get other jobs.
We're talking about, this vehicle, this mechanism for bringing leads in. What does that actually look like? So what would I actually have to write for someone or for myself? What am I actually building?
It's essentially you are writing your own website or landing page, and you're writing advertisements, online ads, to start with Google ads, then growing from there. The goal is that while you are not a service business, you are marketing a service business. And so you would set up, for instance, a bed bug removal website with your own unique phone number, and then you are running ads for people who are searching for those exact services in your area. And it's as simple as that. You're approaching these owners with the real estate that you've built and you fully control, and you have one promise: your phone is going to start ringing with leads. If you're not happy with the service, you can cancel my contract in 30 days. And if you are happy with it, we can, have a follow-up conversation about how to move forward from there. There are some specific things that you need to know to set these up. If you are going to be going out into the AdWord auction, you're going to have to cover the cost of those ads, or, you can negotiate it with the owner, obviously, but you're going to want the lowest cost possible on your advertising budget. So the ads we're talking about, the landing pages we're talking about, we're not talking about genius copywriting here. I mean, this is basic, 3-word phrases using, your primary keyword. It's super formulaic. There are companies out there or websites out there that let you build a very basic website that's perfectly functional for our needs. And that's it. But it is a great excuse to start learning these things and to start piecing all of the stuff together. So let's get into like, you know, an actual example of one that we did, which was one of our first kind of forays into this idea. I was having dinner with a friend one day, and she was telling me that she was looking to bring in some side income. She had just finished up taking a microblading course, and she wanted to do microblading on the side. If you don't know what microblading is, it's that procedure where you kind of semi-permanently tattoo your eyebrows to fill them out, make them thicker. I mean, it's super popular right now, and has been for a number of years, and was becoming popular when we first kind of started venturing into this. And it's a high price item. It's not super high, but to get a new set of eyebrows done, it was at the time $399, and then you need to touch them up every few months for $99 follow up. So, over time, it's a lot of money. So I told her, I said, let's, I'll set up your kind of marketing arm, and I will bring you some business. She was saying she wanted to kind of, work, volunteer her time and do eyebrows for cancer patients. And I was like, great. You could also make some money while you're doing it and not volunteer your time. So I did. We built her a website, and we budgeted $10 a day. We said we were going to do $10 a day on ads. We ran the test for 43 days. We spent total less than $450 on ads. We spent less than $600. So I have it right here. $561 was our total investment between the little website, the domain, the call sling service. In 43 days, we brought in $6,783. And, that was total ROI of over 1,000%, 43 days. She agreed to split that revenue 50-50 with us. We, again, had that little marketing infrastructure set up in 7 days.
Was that like 7 weeks or 7 days of really hard work? Or could you guys just sort of steamroll the whole process and boom, be done with that?
Well, Sean and I had full-time jobs at that point. So it was really, a couple hours at night and then on the weekends. I had a conversation with her, and I said, I need some content for the website. I'm going to interview you, and you're going to tell me about microblading, the services that you want. And fortunately, she had already kind of created a little website, and she's like, you can use some of this material. And that was it. It's not like we broke our back for 7 days to get this up and running. It's super bare bones infrastructure. And from the hour that we turned on our ads, we got our first phone call.
I think that makes it even easier for, newbie copywriters or people who are still doing other jobs to like use this as an opportunity to both learn, to get better at copywriting, maybe make some portfolio items, and maybe 12x their money like you guys did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many of you watching this now and in the future have heard me make the joke that I learned, like I got a book on Google PPC and that I kept it in the bathroom. So I learned Google PPC while I PPP'd. This was the era when I did that. Yeah, this was the job, the opportunity where I had to learn how Google PPC ads work and write the copy for it. And that's how all of this sort of like came together. We were both working a full-time job, and we were doing this on the side, pretty much like before and after work. So a lot of this learning, a lot of this, work that we did really just involved learning an additional skill that really didn't take that much time, just small little segments of learning. And then all of a sudden you have that skill, and we were able to deploy it very profitably.
Mm-hmm.
So Lindsey, you said that over the course of 43 days, you guys brought in a total of about $6,000.
Yeah.
So it's about a month and a half of work.
Mm-hmm.
You guys took home 50% of that. So it's $3,000 or about $2,000 a month in extra revenue that once you built this out, basically the only thing you have to do is just keep funneling in money for the ads, right? The week of doing a couple hours of work a night, it's going to be 20-ish hours or so, then went on to generate $2,000 a month in additional revenue that you just kind of took home for free.
Like, and just to be clear, this wasn't like a one-off thing, right? It wasn't just like it worked only for this business. You guys were able to do it for several companies that you guys make together, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Somebody in the chat just asked us what is in the Patreon when we have a second. And funny you should ask that, because we're about to add something new to the Patreon today. You do not need to spend money to learn copywriting and marketing. And everything that we're describing right now you can go like take the principles and take the tools and everything that we've just given you and go on your merry way and look at our other free content, and you will learn everything that you need to know. If you want to get more granular, if you want more specific advice, if you want to learn how we solved specific problems over the course of our career, or see us walk through specific categories of copy, that's what we put on the Patreon. Right now we have three-ish tiers. One of them is $5.99. It's just bonus content. It's, Q&As, it's additional content and exclusive bonuses, extended episodes, for example, that we issue every single week. We also have a $20 tier, the premium tier, which we have started doing masterclasses for. 45 minutes to 2 hour long sessions. Like Alex did one on like pitching clients. I did one on advertorial, and then I just recently did one on email, just talking about how to improve your email copy. Rod did one on big ideas. Luke, remind me of the one that you did.
Affiliate marketing.
Affiliate marketing. That's right. Which is actually very similar to what we're describing right now too, because you did affiliate marketing for a rug cleaning business, right?
Yeah.
All this stuff is on the patreon.com/thecopythatshow. The moment this call is over, we are going to be adding this, a 150-page book that we actually just finished. I literally just laid this out today, on this thing that we're talking about right now. And so if you want not only all the tech stack that we use, examples that we use, concepts that you need to know, things to watch out for, things to like best practices, it is 150 pages of just very simple to understand, like, this is how to do this.
How to set up your website and landing page, the key features that you need, how to set up your ads, services to use, how to start conversations with business owners, screenshots of our campaigns, what's a good click-through rate versus what we saw for our businesses, the actual businesses we're actually talking about. All of it is kind of dumped in there.
I love the chapter that we did that involved this, billboards on the internet, specifically how we use that as an opportunity to describe the difference between brand and direct response advertising. I love this billboard, but I also know that it is just a failure.
How can people get this? Like, some people are asking how much this costs.
This book is free for patreon.com/thecopythatshow subscribers at the premium tier, the $20 a month tier. We are also going to upload it to Amazon. You will be able to buy it there for insert number here, probably like $25-30. Ultimately, the goal is to encourage people to become members of the Patreon, to see the value that we offer there. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you all agree that there is an ample amount of value there that will help you grow and get better as a copywriter and marketer.
Second business that Sean and I kind of got into was similar setup. I had a friend who was a teacher, and it just had her first child and wanted to stay home and take care of her child, but, also was concerned about becoming, her family becoming a single earner family where husband was making the money, and she wanted to do something on the side. She started tutoring on the side and was just finding it insane having to take care of her child and then somehow arrange to go tutor students at night. So we approached her and we just said, why don't we, again, set up a little marketing arm for you? And rather than you doing the tutoring, let's hire a bunch of tutors and dispatch them to take on clients that we send to them. So we launched our tutoring business. And in the first month, over 6,300 people searching for tutoring in our specific city. They saw our ads, 228 of them clicked and landed on our website. And we spent close to $1,500 on ads for an average cost per click of $6.51. It was less than $500 to set up, and it was profitable within the very first month. This is the business that I mentioned was pulling in $10,000 to $15,000 per month by months 8 to 9. Now, caveat, I said we launched in 2020, and that was in January. And shortly after the pandemic hit, we thought that tutoring, our business was going to have to get shut down. We had no clue with schools closing down and, kids at home, nobody was going to want tutoring. And so we were really worried about it. But actually what ended up happening was a lot of parents started turning towards learning pods. And this was a very new concept that nobody had really talked about before. And we were lucky in that we had written a couple articles pretty early in the process about learning pods. And we had a bunch of teachers that we had networked with who were now looking, to do something on the side to make extra money during the pandemic. And so we made some connections, hooked up some learning pod clients with some learning pod teachers. And, these people were doing 6 hours a day, every day. And so the early months of the pandemic, all the way through 2020 into 2021 were, really great for us because we had a ton of hours that we were pushing through. All we had to do was get the tutors on board and set up the ads again in a website. And then our business partner at the time, she agreed to answer phone calls from clients, match them with the respective tutors. And then once the match was made, they were on their merry way. They did their own scheduling. All we kind of did was back office. By the end of year one, we had gotten an automation platform where we basically had the tutors upload their hours into a platform, and our website scraped all those hours, billed the clients, paid the tutors, and within 15 minutes of work a day, everything was handled. Our part was handled, it was done. And our ads, meanwhile, were just kind of churning in the background, generating clients. Our business partner would do the same thing, make those matches, and then send everybody on their way. So that was business number 2. And again, that business is still running. We're getting ready to launch in 2 more cities and grow, continue to grow the base of our business.
I've been more involved on the strategy side of this than the actual implementation. But back at the beginning of the pandemic, when learning pods were just becoming a thing, we hired friend of the show, Jonathan, whom you might know, to actually write and create a landing page for these learning pods. We didn't have time to write the copy ourselves, and we hired a copywriter to provide a landing page for this business. The ultimate setup for this business, it really was very simple. We had motivated people. We had a business where there was a pretty decent recurring basis of cost, and it was easy enough to just get people to make the call. And once you have a simple call with a company that sounds reputable and works, it's going to do pretty well. And so this sort of straddles the line between what we started talking about and actual real entrepreneurship, because this eventually became less of a, hey, we'll do the marketing for you. And now it's like a real full business that we are actually scaling to other cities.
It's that same template that we've been talking about. It's the exact same thing. You create the ads, you create the page, you push the traffic. And, so long as you agree to be the marketing arm, that's the bulk of your job. And then your partner, whether it's your actual business partner or, it's another service business, they're the ones who are actually servicing all of those leads.
With both of these examples, both the people that you partnered up with didn't seem to have any experience in business, right? You were able to set this up effectively with people who had no business experience, who just wanted to do something on the side. And you literally made 15 grand a month on month 8, right? That's insane.
I think that if you're looking to partner with somebody, you should be looking to partner with the businesses that are not skilled, that do not understand the actual value of what you're providing them or how to do it themselves. The first real reason being that once you do partner with somebody that has a little bit of savvy, well, the piece we left out of case study 1 is she figured out how to basically cut us out of the deal. It's a person-to-person thing. It's a business-to-business thing. And not every single business you work with is going to be totally trustworthy. And not every single business is going to be the kind of partner that you can be with for a long time.
If you can find people who have a skill set, who are doing pretty well already at just their work, but clearly are not doing marketing. So you go to those really ugly websites, you go to your friend who is always busy doing work. You go to people like that because clearly they're good at what they do, but there is a missing piece there because they don't have the area knowledge.
That philosophy is exactly how I built the start of my career. There is that old adage of, all you need to do to teach someone to play piano is be one lesson ahead of them. As long as you're a bit better than they are at it, you're going to bring in better results than they could. If you start doing this, what you will realize is, oh man, yeah, this marketing is actually really bad. And even though I've only been doing this for a month or 2, I know that this is bad copy. And suddenly it becomes, wow, life really is just people making little business deals and writing something and putting it out in the world. And then, oh, it works. Oh, awesome. Because And I cannot stress this point enough. Most small businesses, they are good at their business. They are not good at marketing their business. So you can be that missing piece for them. If you're just a bit better at marketing than they are, slot yourself in, write some good copy, run a few very basic ads, and then all of that traffic, all those conversions are going to you and your business.
Isn't it also comforting to know that there's like so much opportunity everywhere? Like if you know how to do this, if you know how to set it up, you can get work anywhere.
Yeah, a lot of these concepts we're talking about are simple to implement. They're not that hard. If a business owner really wanted to learn them, they could learn them pretty easily. But the reality is that people are so busy living their life, running their business, doing all these other things that even if it made sense for them to learn them in terms of like how much it would cost them, it's really hard for people to feel like they can justify the time. And so hiring someone, even if it means that they're paying more for that service, means that there's this additional burden just taken off their shoulders. And so you should shoot your shot with these people, because chances are, even if you don't think that the knowledge you have is that valuable or that special, it will be way more valuable to them.
Don't approach as an agency. I mean, we're talking about setting up your agency, but you are just one person who's promising to make their phones ring. That's it. I've started a lot of different businesses, and as soon as I go about setting up a website, somehow these marketers get my information, and all of a sudden now I'm getting emails for SEO, or I'm getting calls for somebody who promising, so to do blah, 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 some marketing thing. But it's always this, it's so-and-so from a marketing agency. They're going to do SEO. It's just, all of this like marketing jargon. And I'm in marketing, and I don't want to touch any of those services. And I understand marketing. A lot of business owners don't. And unfortunately, a lot of business owners fall into the trap of shelling out a ton of money for SEO, for instance, and then it doesn't work by month 2 for reasons we actually talk about in the book. And then they cancel, and they just have never had a positive marketing experience. You're approaching this completely differently. You are walking to their office, cold calling, and you are just one person set up who needs to route leads to somebody, and you want to make their phone ring. That's essentially your promise. It's more personal, more personable. From my experience pitching business owners, you'll be surprised how far you can get in just even the first conversation.
So why don't we talk about the final case study that's in the book, the final example of like how this can work for people watching, and also like give them just a sense of the kind of path of what we're talking about here, so that they might know how to implement it themselves in the future.
I think the biggest lesson that we learned about the tutoring business, this was the first time that we really realized how important it is to pick a service that has a high price point. Tutoring, you're going by hour. Most people tutor once a week, maybe. You're charging $55. You got to do a lot of tutoring before you can generate any meaningful revenue. On top of that, tutoring is a very competitive industry. It's not a niche. There are national competitors, there are local competitors buying ads. And so more expensive keywords, much higher ad budget, your price point is a lot lower. What happened, we realized pretty early that in order to grow this business, we were going to have to build a super solid base of recurring business and referrals. Fortunately, over time, we've been able to do that. And in our launch city, we can turn off the ads and the business grows by word of mouth on all these, moms and dads sharing in Facebook groups about our company. And that's great. But there definitely was a little bit of it was a shock. And there was a realization that people who were buying bundles of tutoring, we would charge them upfront a percentage, a down payment, but then we would collect that slowly as people were tutoring. And so months and months, 6 months would go by before we captured, the bulk of that business. So we had to bring in a lot of people upfront and sign deals to cover, our ad space, and then, our very minimal infrastructure back office. We were still able to do that within month 1, but it was definitely much different than like the microblading business, which, what we spent relative to what we earned was like huge difference because of that high price point. Third case study is real estate. driving leads to an actual realtor, the commissions that realtors make, 3% of a deal, for example, is so outsized relative to what we spend in ads, which is actually, it's a lot of money because real estate's very competitive, but it is just so well justified because of how much they actually earn. And so it's very easy for a realtor to, cut us a $1,500, $2,000 check every month to keep the lead flow going when he's, turning around and in his first year of real estate, making $150,000 in commissions. On this business, the budget was sizable, basically 12 grand in year one. It's just over $1,000 a month. But it drove over 1,200 leads to the business. So that's like 3 to 4 leads a day. It's an average of about $10 a lead. Whereas with microblading, it was like, I think close to $1.50. It was under $2. But, the average revenue on a sale is like 18 grand. It's an example of a business that the numbers just make so much sense, and having that high price service justified the cost. It's no problem asking for a small retainer just to make sure those leads are continue to flow.
Stop reading copywriting books, stop reading marketing books, stop really revising your spec piece for the 20th time. Go spend some time prospecting before you're ready. Because
read this book. You need to read this book, and then stop reading books and go do it.
Yeah. Before you stop reading books, read our book that is available to patreon.com/thecopythatshow, premium tier subscribers. For real. You don't actually need to read this book to go and do this. We want to make sure that every single pitch, we always make sure that you understand you don't need to pay anybody money to be able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
We make materials to try to make your life easier along the way. It's one of the reasons why we, on the show, never say, we are listening to us and you are guaranteed to become a 7-figure copywriter. Ultimately, we just want you to succeed. And success can take any number of forms, but it all starts with you taking action. And a lot of that really comes without knowing exactly how to do everything. A lot of the action that you're going to have to take is going to precede your knowledge and how to do some of this stuff.
You need the guiding light. You need to have your North Star, your goal, and then you just need to go out and go into it.
Say you're not going to get this book. You can still use what we've just told you to go out and pitch to new clients. Go and do it.
As soon as this call ends, I'm going to put the book into the premium tier of the patreon.com/thecopythatshow. And then I'm going to distribute it to all premium tier members. It's also going to be uploaded on Amazon.com. And then because I like to violate all the good rules about copywriting and have multiple CTAs in these conversations, if you go to copythatshow.com, we also have a mailing list now. So if you want to know when we live stream, somebody asked that question earlier, we will send you an email saying, yo, we are going live. And so if you want more of our content, visit patreon.com/thecopythatshow. That is where you're going to be able to find the book. We've settled on the title, No Man's Niche. Lindsey, I know you feel indifferent about that, but how do you guys feel about that title?
I think Luke and I like it because it was our creative baby. So I like it. But
Lindsey murdered it.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so at the end of next month, we're going to officially announce this in the next stream because it's a completely different thing. But one of the biggest questions we get is people who learn about copywriting, who hear about these glorious niches, not niche businesses, but niches like financial, health, stuff like that, and are how do I get into this? And one of the things that we always say is these are some of the hardest niches to learn. They are very competitive. There are lots of rules and restrictions. You have to study for these in a way that you do not have to study for, random SaaS thing, Wild West copy. Starting, I think, in the 3rd or 4th week of October, I'm going to start a series similar to Alex, where I start at 0 and just go about laying out how I would learn direct response. And you guys will get to watch me create a study plan, mark up copy, go build out a swipe file that I will share with you guys so you guys can do it at the same time as me and start to kind of develop a portfolio that if I wanted to, I could then go to someone at a direct response company and be like, hey, hire me. And the idea is to have that be a long running series similar to what Alex is doing now. because, learning these things takes time, to give you guys the time to go on this journey with me and potentially get jobs in this area of your own. I understand why it's so overwhelming for someone at the beginning who is like, can kind of tell there's all this stuff, but doesn't know exactly where all those pieces fit together. And so I think one of the best things we can do for people is lay out, okay, here's where to go first.
We just disconnected
Oh no.
because I think Sean's computer froze.
Sean is
Oh, not again. Well,
Wait, we got to the end. We got some
We
plugs
did,
in.
yeah, we got to the end.
Lindsey, you are fantastic. That is
Likewise, guys.
incredible
Yeah.
value.
Great. But yeah, I mean, I hope that, you guys felt like the book served, and I hope we can
Book
make
was
some money
great.
with it and
Yeah.
help a lot of people with it.
Guys, this was delightful. Thank you so much.
Thanks guys, as always.
See you guys. See you on the next show.
Yeah,
Alex,
bye.
go get some sleep. Bye.
Bye.